How's it going, guys? Welcome to this year's Summer Game Fest evaluation, where I go through all the different events these last few days and give you my thoughts on them. I like covering all of the events, not just the main Summer Game Fest, just because the main event doesn't cover a lot of games. A lot, most of the games. And, sometimes there are instances where some of the best looking games or most anticipated games aren't the ones shown at the main event. So I think it's important to look at all of them, right? Sometimes it can be a waste of time. Other times you can be surprised by what is revealed. I'm gonna go through. I made a list. I have like 5 pages of stuff written down that I remember, that I'm looking forward to, or whatever. Um, and I actually graded each event. We'll just start off with the first one, Guerrilla Collective. This was a day before Summer Game Fest, I believe, on the 6th. Now, I actually didn't watch any of these live. The reason being was because I was busy working. I literally worked like the 4 days that like all these events were happening. So every night I came home from work, I would kind of like skim through everything until I saw something that caught my eye. So I didn't really watch any of them thoroughly, except for like one or two, but I did skim through them all at least, and I found a few things that I really am looking forward to. Um, but yeah, anyway, Guerrilla Collective was okay. There were only two games shown that really caught my interest, and the first one is a classic survival horror game. I say classic because this is a survival horror that is using the fixed camera angles that you see in like the old Resident Evil games and the old Silent Hill and Alone in the Dark games, and it's called Hollow Body. I don't know much about it. It probably isn't going to be all that great because, games that utilize these outdated mechanics feel outdated. But I guess that's part of the appeal, right? People who grew up with like those types of survival horror games. But I'm still interested in it. I don't really know what it's about, but yeah, I'll keep a lookout for Hollow Body. And the second one is called The Transylvania Adventure of Simon's Quest. It is basically an old school 8-bit Castlevania game, and it's supposedly coming next year. I'm a big Castlevania fan. I'm not great at them though. I really suck at the old Castlevania games, but I am looking forward to this one. This looks like a really good love letter to those games. And that's basically all that really caught my eye on Guerrilla Collective. Believe it or not, this is actually better than a few of the other ones that we're going to talk about. My final grade for this one is a C. Not great, but not a complete failure. There were a couple things that I'm like, okay, that looks interesting, or that looks like something that I would enjoy. Um, and now we're on to the Summer Game Fest on June 7th. The main event, or as I like to call it, the Summer Trailer Fest, because that's kind of what it felt like. There were a lot of reveals, but I feel like most of them were just trailers. Like there was a new trailer for Black Myth Wukong, which looks pretty good. Um, I'm interested in it because of the Chinese mythology. We don't get a lot of games that touch upon that. We get mostly like Japanese mythology, but Chinese mythology, Black Myth Wukong is a game that I might get on like Black Friday this year if it turns out great, right? There's a new Batman Arkham VR game. This doesn't really interest me, but I do want to put it out there because I do like Batman Arkham, and a VR version of that might be fun. I don't know. I have no intention on playing it personally because I don't play VR, but One thing that actually surprisingly got me excited, and that was more fighters coming to Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is one of my favorite fighting games. Period, actually. It's my favorite fighting game of this whole generation, this whole decade so far. So, more content on that game, I am all for. They're even bringing back M. Bison, like the big baddie from, Street Fighter 2 and the Alpha games. There is a new Dragon Ball Z game called Sparkling Zero. What? What kind of name is that? That sounds like I'm buying like a fucking mineral water. Like why not just call it Dragon Ball Zero or how about Diet DBZ? Oh, I'll stop there. Um, it doesn't really interest me, but again, Dragon Ball Z, putting it out there. There is a free-to-play shooter coming out soon, I think, called Delta Force Hawk. Um, this one caught my attention because they were showing something that had to do with Black Hawk Down, the movie by Ridley Scott that's based on a true story. But I don't know if they're like making it like an extraction mode that's inspired from Black Hawk Down. But like I'm actually pretty interested in that. I want to see what that's about. Um, so definitely keep me posted on whether when that game's coming out because I do want to check on it. Um, there is yet another trailer for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This was a game that I never talked about before. I mean, I reviewed the first game, but I didn't do a reaction to when it first was revealed. But yeah, there's another trailer for that. That game looks great. I think it looks even better than the first Kingdom Come game. Um, Alan Wake 2 finally goes physical. There's a physical um, version of that coming out, which is cool. There's new DLC out now, apparently. So, yeah, for those of you who are interested in Alan Wake 2, I have yet to play it. I haven't bought it yet, actually, but I am waiting for the deluxe edition to like go like under 60 or $50. Hyper Light Breaker got a gameplay trailer. This game's kind of misleading because I'm pretty sure it's by the same developers who made Hyper Light Drifter, but Hyper Light Breaker is not like that. It's not kind of like a Souls-like Zelda game. It's something completely different. It's more of a side scroller. Valorant, the free to play PC game Valorant, is coming to consoles. I might never play it. I don't know. We'll see. I never hear good things about Valorant, but whatever. Um, Something weird came up. It was Ken Jeong, the comedian Ken Jeong, um, in a chicken costume. And I think it had a couple other people too. I don't remember who it was. It looked like Chris Hemsworth. Or was that Chris Hemsworth? I don't know, but I can't even remember the game they were advertising. I was too distracted by Ken Jeong in a chicken outfit. I don't know what that was all about. I can't even remember the name, but just look up on YouTube Ken Jeong chicken costume or Ken Jeong Summer Game Fest, and you'll see what I mean. There is also a new Monster Hunter game coming out called Monster Hunter Wilds next year. I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan, man, and I try to get into it, but I just can't. It's too grindy. I always think the combat is like too clunky and just I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me. But like I have Monster Hunter Rise and I have yet to play it. I think I have Sunbreak too, and I have yet to play it. Um, I got Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and I have yet to play it. The only one I beaten was the base game of Monster Hunter World. It is more fun when you play with people. I was able to beat it by playing with people. They were able to carry me through my shittiness. But yeah, there's a new Monster Hunter game coming out. I think there's also a new Monster Hunter spin-off coming out either this month or next month called Monster Hunter Stories 2. So yeah, good day for Monster Hunter fans. There's definitely more of that coming. Now, perhaps the most impressive thing I saw from Summer Game Fest is a game called Phantom Blade Zero. This looks fucking awesome. It's it's a very fast-paced looking kind of like hack and slash game. A lot of emphasis on parrying and stuff and just moving fast and kind of reminded me of like a cross between Sekiro and like Ninja Gaiden. Um, So that's something that I really want to keep track of because that game looks awesome, and that was like their closing game, and it kind of ended it on a high note there between Monster Hunter Wilds and Phantom Blade Zero. But aside from that, I was a little disappointed by the main Summer Game Fest. I feel like it relied too much on trailers and advertisements and not enough in terms of showing extensive gameplay. It's not my favorite showcase these past few days. Maybe it's one of the better ones, but not my favorite. So I'm going to grade that a C as well. Now, Day of the Devs, not good. They announced a collection of 50 new retro style games called UFO 50. Now, for those of you like me who like watching Angry Video Game Nerd and watching him play really bad games from the 80s and 90s, this probably sounds familiar to you. You remember the game Action 52? That NES cartridge that contained 52 games that were mostly broken and didn't even play? That's what I'm getting here. Now, to be fair, it's more than likely going to be a lot better than Action 52, and I kind of like the idea, but I, I question the quality of these 50 new original indie games that they're working on. You can't really have a focused team make 50 completely different games. Um, I think that's part of the reason why Action 52 turned out to be a hot mess. So, yeah, I'm getting mixed signals from UFO 50. Um, I'm not saying it looks bad, but I have a feeling that it's going to feel a bit too unfocused. Like if they're trying to have like 50 progressively new, indie games that go from like Pong to side scrollers to retro RPGs or whatever, and to 3D space flight games, like to like kind of like give you like the feeling of video game evolution. I like that. Like that's a cool idea. I'm just afraid that that the games themselves aren't gonna be very good. They did say that they're gonna incorporate new modern game mechanics to it, so hopefully it'll still be good. But I'm I'm not holding I'm not holding my breath for this. I'm really not, and I'm not holding my breath for Screenbound either. What is Screenbound? Well, your guess is as good as mine. It looks unique. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be fun to play. Screenbound, from what I saw, has you exploring a 3D playing field, but what you're really doing is you're engaging with things through a 2D screen on a Game Boy.
What the fuck?
You're moving around in 3D, right? But at the same time, you're playing a game and you're finding things that you don't see in the 3D realm. that you're seeing in the 2D realm. Like if you run into an enemy and an enemy kills you or hurts you in 2D, that's going to stop you in 3D. It's weird. It is unique. That doesn't mean it's going to be successful, okay? But it was interesting enough for me to mention, I guess. Screenbound, an indie 3D, 2D game. And that was basically it. Day of the Devs was an overall weak presentation. I'm gonna give that a D. It's not a complete failure. You know, there are two games in particular that might be good, but I have no idea. But at least there were two games that caught my eye. The next one is Devolver Direct. Now these guys go more towards the actual presentation than they do showing you games that they have for you. It was like this last year where they just made like a weird presentation skit about, you know, Volvi, their kind of fictional mascot. This time around it was no different, except it was like a dark humor psychological horror about a lonely guy in his 30s that he has like no job and no girlfriend. He's bald like me. He kind of reminds me a lot of myself, except I actually have a job. Um, for now anyway. But he progressively gets more and more obsessed with the upcoming games that are coming out, and it kind of plays into that. Now, the games themselves didn't really catch my interest, except for one, a game called Tenjutsu. It's like an old school, very gory bloodbath of like taking down different gang members and stuff. Um, that I thought looked pretty fun, kind of like a mix between Hotline Miami and maybe a little bit of like Smash TV. They're probably not as hard though. But yeah, that's the only game that caught my eye. I'm gonna give credit though for its brilliant comedic strategy in its presentation. It was well acted. There was a cop in it who started investigating him in his home. He ends up going to prison, but like in his own mind, he's just like somewhere else. I really recommend that you go watch Devolver Direct just because it was actually like a really well made psychological thriller, if not a good presentation of games. So I'm going to give that a C just because of how much effort they put into it. Not because I thought it was a great showcase of games, but just because of that particular presentation itself. Um, so yeah, good job, guys. It was entertaining at least. Unlike these next couple of showcases, the Future of Play Direct, not to be confused with Future Game Show. Apparently they're not having enough of these. There was nothing. There was not a single indie game, and I say indie games because they were all indie games that caught my eye. There was nothing in there that really caught my attention. The problem I have with a lot of indie studios now is that they're going for like the same art direction, the same kind of like copy paste, lazy, textureless cartoon art direction. You know, like you see in Paparazzi and Moving Out, where it's just like very basic and just recycled assets from other games, and I don't think that's creative at all. And a lot of these games that are coming out now, they're by people who probably either just don't have a lot of vision or don't have enough money to afford anything but that. They all look the same to me. A lot of these indie games look exactly the same to me, and that's not a good thing. I don't like it when indie games saturate the whole market when most of them, the vast majority of them at least, look very similar in terms of graphical or art design. Future Play gets an F for me. Waste of time, at least in my opinion. I didn't think there were anything interesting about Future of Play. And I didn't think there was anything interesting on Wholesome Direct either. Wholesome Direct, I'm guessing, is kind of like a family friendly or games that are about like life lessons and shit. Um, and it was that wasn't good either. That there was even one game that was called While Waiting. It is literally a waiting simulator. Like, why would I want a simulator of waiting in line at the fucking grocery store or waiting for an elevator to come down? Like, or like getting stuck in traffic. Why would I want that as a game? I gotta fucking do that shit in real life, and it ain't fun. Why would it be fun in game form? So it gives you like different things to do while you're waiting. I don't know, like writing in your cell phone or something, or texting people, or maybe like getting deeper relationships with people while you're waiting. But I'm just like, why make a fucking game out of this? Really? We're really scraping down the bottom of the barrel for these indie ideas, guys. Like, come on. Once again, just a bunch of filler shit. Filler indie stuff that look exactly the same that I don't care for. Wholesome Direct also gets an F. Future Game Show is a bit better, but still not that great. Um, there is this kind of like action, this isometric cop game called The Precinct, where you play as a cop and you can do all sorts of stuff like take down drug dealers and go around issuing tickets and writing reports and maybe once in a blue moon having a gunfight. Um, that might be pretty interesting. You know, we don't get a lot of good games that involve you playing as a police officer. We usually get games that, you play on the other side of the law. But it's always nice to see, a good cop game like RoboCop Rogue City, even though you could technically not consider that a cop game. You're playing as fucking RoboCop, but still. And there's another 2D Souls-like to punish myself with called Mandragora. Yay! Another probably going to be infuriating 2D Souls-like Metroidvania game to pull out the remainder of my hairs with. So Future Game Show, that's basically it. I'm gonna give it a C. It's a C at best. It's okay. Next page. Okay, now here is, and I'm pretty sure that almost everyone will agree with me. Here is the best showcase they had. The Xbox Games Showcase is by far the best one of the whole bunch because they actually show gameplay. Whoa! They showed a really kick-ass gameplay trailer of Doom: The Dark Ages coming next year. I can already see this winning my 2025 Game of the Year. Um, Doom guy has like a fucking spiked shield now where you can deflect enemy melee attacks and like deflect bullets and shit and get to do all sorts of crazy shit. I think there's a grapple they brought back the grappling, and you can even fly. You have like this flying machine to fly between levels, I guess, and it looks so fucking kick ass. Throughout these past few days, Doom: The Dark Ages is the one that really pumped me up the most. It is my most anticipated game right now because of that fucking trailer. Look up Doom: The Dark Ages. For those of you who are fans of Doom, I've always been a fucking fan of Doom. I've loved pretty much every Doom game that's ever come out, even Doom 3. Um, so I am probably gonna like this one a lot. There is more Starfield content. Now, I haven't personally played Starfield yet. I always hear mixed things. Some people really like it. Some people think it's like the most boring shit ever. I've seen it, and it doesn't look very good to me. It looks boring, and just the planets look exactly the same, copy and paste. Just do this, do that. But if there's more content and more DLC, maybe they can figure out a way to spice things up. Give you more ship upgrades, better ship battles, or something. Um, and there is a new expansion coming out for Starfield called Shattered Space. You know what else is Shattered Space? My pants after watching the Doom Dark Ages reveal. Sorry, I just had to go there. But I do need to change my pants though after watching that. Anyway, we are getting more Fallout 76 shit. Yay. Why am I mentioning this if I hate Fallout 76 so much? Well, let me tell you something. Ever since Fallout 3, I've always wanted a Fallout game where you can get radiated enough to irreversibly turn into a ghoul, and that could like change how the entire world treats you, change your relationships, and change your reputation within the world. I always thought that being a ghoul, having the option to turn into a ghoul for the rest of that playthrough would be an awesome idea in a Fallout game. Why couldn't this idea be introduced in Fallout 5? Because it just got introduced in Fallout 76. You can now play as a ghoul in Fallout 76, the one Fallout game I never want to go back to because I think it fucking blows. So yeah, you can play as a ghoul now in Fallout 76 in its new title update. Bethesda always figures out a way to hook me back into Fallout 76. It is my on again, off again toxic relationship in gaming form. I hate it, and I cannot stay away from it. Fuck. I want to play as a ghoul, though. I want to see what that's like. And I want to see how your interactions are different with the world. Hopefully they have it in Fallout 5 when it comes out in the year 2047 or whatever. There was more Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. It might have just been another trailer. I can't remember. Um, they had a reveal trailer for Dragon Age The Veilguard, which honestly didn't look too great, but maybe it's a little too early to tell. It seems like they're kind of leaning more towards like a comedic game, which I don't think is a good direction for Dragon Age. I still think Dragon Age Origins had the best tone and the best story in the series, and I don't see that changing. If Doom the Dark Ages wasn't enough, here's where Xbox Game Showcase goes even harder by revealing a new Perfect Dark video game. Holy fucking shit. A new Perfect Dark game. It better be day one on Game Pass, man. And the new Fable finally got revealed. It is coming out next year. That's another really big one. We haven't had a Fable game since Fable 3 in 2010. So it'll be a 15-year difference. That's a big fucking deal. Not including the Fable anniversary. Yeah, and there is also more Diablo 4 DLCs and expansions. Hopefully Blizzard turns that game around and makes it great because, goddamn, man, they really fucked with the fans there when it came to handling Diablo 4 over the months. But hopefully they get their asses in line and changes the course of Diablo 4. I actually have it on PS5. I haven't played it yet. Maybe I'll wait until the expansion comes out. Um, they showed more of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Personally, I'm not really that excited for this. Graphically, it doesn't look good. It looks like it's from like 2010. It looks like a 7th gen game, maybe a late 7th gen game. It doesn't look all that great to me. And I'm not sure that I like that it's in first person. I probably would have preferred it if it was in third person, like an Uncharted game or something. But like whipping people around in like, first person and having like those weird, janky looking fist fights in first person, it looks off. I don't think this game looks good at all, basically. And I also don't like the voice actor for Indy. He sounds like Hank Hill from King of the Hill.
God dang it, Bobby.
Like it's like, why does Indy have like a southern accent? Like, yeah, not excited for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it'll be awesome. Maybe it'll be this year's RoboCop Rogue City, like a licensed game that's actually good. Who knows? But to me, it doesn't look all that great. Um, that doesn't really take away any points from the Xbox showcase, though. That's because they actually did show a good amount of it. Like the game is pretty far in development, and that's a good thing. Um, there was another cool looking sword fighting game, not as cool looking as Phantom Blade Zero, but there's another one called Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. I don't really know anything about it. I just remember it looking cool when I saw it. Stalker 2 is coming out pretty soon. It's in September. Hopefully that's an improvement over the previous Stalker games, because I tried playing the first Stalker game a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, and I don't like it. As a matter of fact, I hate it. I hate Stalker. I find that the game, maybe it's because it's a pretty old game. It's like at least 15 years old. It feels very old and very outdated and very just muddy, and I don't know. But Stalker 2 is free day one on Game Pass, so I'll give it a whirl. Graphically it does look awesome. Like the textures and everything looks like really phenomenal, and the lighting looks great. The game looks great. I just don't know if it plays great. And when I look at the gameplay trailers for it, it's doing the whole Cyberpunk 2077 vibe, where it's only giving you like a few seconds of uninterrupted gameplay, and it combines it into clips of like 3 second long gameplay of like shooting and reloading and stuff. And I've yet to see an actual extended gameplay, like an uninterrupted sequence of gameplay. That's not a good sign. I have experience with that now because of Cyberpunk. I'm not saying the game is gonna turn out to be that buggy, but I have a feeling it's gonna have quite a few bugs. It's by a fairly small studio in Ukraine, and you know how the Ukrainians have had it rough these past few years. In case you have been living under a rock, but yeah. Hopefully, Stalker 2 is the best Stalker game to date. Otherwise, I'm not gonna like it. And last but not least, they revealed a prequel to Gears of War. Not Judgment. And this looks better than Judgment. It's called Gears of War E-Day. I'm guessing it takes place right before Judgment, like when it really started, like when the locusts really first started to invade. Um, I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully that's like a return to form to the Gears of War formula. Because, that with the Gears of War games, it's one of those series where, like, the first three were awesome, right? And then the others weren't nearly as good. Gears of War E-Day has that chance, that potential to put us back in the days when Gears of War prevailed, and I'm really excited for Gears of War E-Day. So overall, the Xbox Games Showcase, that is going to get an A from me. It's not perfect. I mean, there are a few things that I actually didn't think looked all that great, but at the same time, they had so much. They had so much stuff that they showed off that it deserves an A. At least compared to every other showcase of this month, it is an A. Another thing that's an A is the Black Ops 6 Direct. I cannot believe how much I am looking forward to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I have never been this excited for a Call of Duty game since, I don't even fucking know, Black Ops 1 back in 2010. I did love Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is like my second favorite or third favorite in the whole franchise after 4 and World at War. But at the same time, I wasn't really excited for that game when it came out. It just surprised me how awesome it was. Between like the choice-driven campaign and different endings and, stuff like that. Black Ops 6, if it turns out as great as it looked here, it will be the best Call of Duty game since Black Ops 2, 12 years ago. First of all, it is the first Call of Duty game that is going to be day one on Game Pass. I will play this on Game Pass, and I will have my first ever Call of Duty review for you guys on November 11th, Veterans Day. You bet your ass I will have a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 review prepared for you guys and premiered on November 11th. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. There is Omni movement, and that includes like being able to kind of like turn while you're kind of jumping into prone. You can kind of like turn, and shoot, and you can aim around corners, like have your gun like this, and it will like naturally snap to it. It looks so solid. It doesn't look buggy. It doesn't look laggy. It looks so tight, and it already looks like a finished product. Um, and they were delving more into the campaign and how it's going to be a sequel to Black Ops Cold War. Adler's coming back. Adler from Cold War is coming back. Frank Woods from the first two Black Ops games are coming back. And it looks like they're gonna re-implement some of the elements of Black Ops 2's campaign, like different ways to approach your missions, not like Modern Warfare 3 last year. No, not like that. Not in a bad way, but in a good way, like infiltrating areas by pretending you're someone else, stuff like that. And there are also evolved death animations based on where you hit your target. That's really cool as well. And round-based zombies are coming back. You know, for those of you who didn't like the zombies in Vanguard, um, or the zombies in Cold War, where they put so many different objectives that it didn't really feel much like a survival, a round-based survival game. They're bringing zombies back to its roots of how it used to be in World at War and like the older Black Ops days. I am so looking forward to Black Ops 6. It's been ages since I've actually been wanting to play a Call of Duty game because it looks great. It looks like a true return to form, not a fake one. Like, honestly, these new Modern Warfare games, I'm not really into. I'm really not. I mean, they're okay. And they're certainly better than some of the newer ones, like Modern Warfare 3 is the worst. And, but Vanguard wasn't that good either. But Black Ops 6 looks incredible. Yeah, that gets an A. They made an entire direct showcase for Black Ops 6, and that gets an A for me as well. We are nearing the end. We only have two more. Sorry, it's a little dark. We only have two more showcases before I wrap this up. The PC game show kind of sucked. There was a lot of indie games though, but none of them were ringing out to me. There was a lot that they showed, but nothing for me. I think the closest of a game that caught my eye is Streets of Rogue 2. Not Streets of Rage. Streets of Rogue 2. Even though I didn't play the first Streets of Rogue. Yeah, I'm gonna give PC Game Show a D just because they had a lot on the plate, but I didn't really think any of it was all that good. It gets a D instead of an F just because of how much content was in the PC Game Show. And lastly, the Ubisoft Forward, which was okay. Ubisoft has a tendency to disappoint me, only because they never announce a new Splinter Cell. And yet, there's still no new Splinter Cell announcements. Splinter Cell is my all-time favorite Ubisoft franchise, and it's been dead for over a decade. And I hate them every time they don't do anything with it. It's not like the game sold poorly. I mean, I suppose Black Ops sold kind of poorly because it didn't have Michael Ironside as Sam Fisher, and it kind of drove away a lot of the fan base. But it didn't drive me away, and I ended up actually liking Blacklist a lot. So, yeah, I'm still pissed that they're not doing anything with Splinter Cell. Their two main things were Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, which honestly, I'm not particularly excited for either of these. And I'm not sure why. Like, I loved Ghost of Tsushima, right? I loved Ghost of Tsushima. But I feel like if I were to play Assassin's Creed Shadows, I've already played it. Like, first of all, I've already played any Assassin's Creed game. Any Assassin's Creed game, or at least most of them, it's like you play one, you've already experienced them all, right? They're too recycled in terms of gameplay and combat and, the whole loop of collecting everything in an open world environment. And, I feel like it looks like Ghost of Tsushima from Wish.com. It looks like a poor man's version of Ghost of Tsushima. I do think the stealth elements look good enough. It kind of does remind me a little bit of Tenchu, like being able to and that's only because it's existed in Assassin's Creed, where you can drop down and kill someone from above. But in the feudal Japan format, it does remind me more of Tenchu than it does Assassin's Creed, which I like. Um, you can also kind of like have your back against the wall and kind of shimmy around the corner to see if there's anyone there. I like that. That reminds me of Tenchu 2. So, who knows? Maybe Assassin's Creed Shadows will be decent enough, but it's not going to be Game of the Year quality. It's a fucking Assassin's Creed game. Like, those games haven't been innovative since 4 in 2013, if you think about it. So, yeah. And Star Wars Outlaws, I'm not sure why I'm not interested in it. I mean, it has a really cool concept. You play as like this vigilante slash bounty hunter, trying to escape authorities while trying to take down more dangerous people. And, I mean, it looks good enough. It looks like a complete product. It's got a lot of exploration, space exploration, planetary exploration. Has good enough gunplay, but I don't know. There's something about it And it's not because it's a fucking female protagonist. I really don't care. Gameplay-wise, it just looks a little bland to me. Kinda in the same way that Avatar Frontiers of Pandora looks bland to me. Which is another Ubisoft game, and another one that they announced new DLC for. I'm just not interested. There was a DLC announcement for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which I'll talk about in my top 5 or top 10 best games of 2024 at the end of the year. It's a fucking incredible game. It's actually the most I ever enjoyed a Ubisoft game since at least Splinter Cell Blacklist. And it's my first Prince of Persia game, so um, yeah. So maybe I'll get that. I'll probably get the DLC for the Lost Crown just because of how much I love that game. Might even be my game of the year. I'm not joking. It's kind of surprising, right? A Ubisoft game might win my game of the year. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Anyway, enough about that. There is also more X Defiant content coming soon. X Defiant, the pseudo COD killer. It's not a fucking COD killer. I've played it, despite me actually liking this game. I actually think it's one of the better free-to-play shooters out there. Um, I like X Defiant because it has a rich amount of maps, and has a good amount of variety in its abilities and classes, and its modes are pretty deep and require a lot of strategy. There's also no skill-based matchmaking, so you're oftentimes up against people who are better than you. I suck at it, but I still enjoy it a lot. Every so often, I'll want to go back to X Defiant. I think it has a good foundation, though there are some obvious problems like hit detections and matchmaking issues and some lag here and there. Some things that a lot of multiplayer games suffer from. Anyway, yeah, they're adding new modes in the new seasons and new maps in the new seasons, and that'll give me good enough reason to go back to it. Um, yeah, that's my mini review of X Defiant while I'm at it. Um, like an 8 out of 10, 7 or 8 out of 10. And that's pretty much it for Ubisoft Forward. It wasn't bad, but at the same time, I thought it was a little disappointing. No Splinter Cell. It's not going to get any more than C. Whenever they don't include Splinter Cell, it's capped at a C. Okay? And, Star Wars Outlaws and AC Shadows, they look good, just not good enough for me to want to pay full price anyway. So yeah, Ubisoft Forward gets a C. And that is it. There is a Nintendo Direct coming, I believe, towards the end of the month at some point. I'm probably not going to make a reaction video to that. I might make a YouTube post, giving my thoughts on it in writing form for you guys. But that's going to do it for this. My Summer Game Fest final report. We have a couple aces and a couple failures, and the rest are okay at best. Gorilla got a C. Summer Game Fest main event got a C. Day of the Devs got a D. Devolver Direct got a C. Future of Play got an F. Wholesome Direct got an F. Future Game Show got a C. Xbox Game Show got an A. Black Ops 6 Direct, A. PC Game Show, D. And Ubisoft Forward, C. I'm no mathematician, but we have 2 A's, no B's. We have 5 C's, 2 D's. Get it? 2 D's. God damn it. And 2 F's. So I think that is a C minus total average. Slightly below average showcase event. Slightly below average, not E3. Before I end this video, I do want to give a top 3 anticipated video games I got from this. Number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Number 2, Gears of War E-Day. And number 1, Doom: The Dark Ages. Yeah, those are my top 3 most anticipated games that I got from watching all these. I suppose my number 4 would probably be Transylvania Adventure of Simon's Quest. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for this video. Sorry I made another close to 1 hour long video. Hope you guys don't mind. I had a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. They make way too many showcases now. I miss the old days when it was just Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, and maybe another one like Square Enix. What are your thoughts on these showcases? Are there any games that you're looking forward to, or was this whole thing just a big waste of your time? Comment down below, and as always, thank you for watching.
The Gamer Gods!